Suppose you wanted to create a scatter plot using the Desmos graphing calculator. You go up to add an item, and we're going to add a table. And what you do is you enter your values into your table, and what I'm going to use is this table here. So number of months since July, and then the value, I'm going to enter those values in. Once you have the values entered into your table, you want to make sure that the little icon next to the Y1 is highlighted. And then here you have a little zoom fit. If you press that, then it'll plot the points. So that's how you create a scatter plot. You can also go to the axes and change the values on your axes. So if I change the x-axis starting to 0, notice what that does. Okay, generally I would say start at maybe like -2 or so, so you can see the y-axis show up. And then the y-axis, if you want to make that a much lower value, so you can see the 0 in it, you might want to start, in this case, maybe at -50. Okay, and across the bottom, this was the number of months since July as your input, and then the value, it was the value of a phone, $400, 0 months since July, and then 1 month later was $370, and so on. So if you want to make sure you have the correct labels in there, X was the number of months since July, and then Y was the value in dollars. So you can see it labeled the axes down here and up here. Now suppose by hand you went through and found the equation of the linear model. So let's just say that it was y equals -30x plus 400. So that would be using the first and last points actually. You notice that it graphs your linear model for you. So if you wanted to graph the linear model, if you came up with by hand, let's just suppose it was y equals -30x plus 400, that'd be using the first and last points on the scatter plot. You go to the second box and just type that in, y equals -30x plus 400. And that'll graph your linear model on your scatter plot. And again, if you wanted to insert this into something you submitted for me, you can take the screenshot oops, bigger than that. Okay, you can do that screenshot and then copy and paste it into a document. Now in some classes, there's also an option to have the calculator come up with an equation for you. And this will depend on the directions and what class you're in. But if you go to add an item, we can add an f of x expression. And notice how the table is using x1 and y1. So you want to hit y1 and then shift the symbol next to the 1 key. And then y equals mx plus b is our linear model. So we use m and then x1 plus b. And what that'll do, it'll give you the parameters m and b. So the equation of our linear model that our calculator came up with is y equals -30.8571 times x, and then plus 407.143. And you can see that 407.143 is a little above the 400. And the slope of -30 means we're going down $30 every month. Okay, so that's how your calculator can come up with a line of best fit. You only use that when I say use the graphing tool to come up with the linear model. Otherwise, I expect you to do it by hand. And just to show you, if I came up with that y equals negative 30x plus 400, that's a slightly different line than what the computer came up with. Okay, so again, just make sure you pay attention to directions in the class that you're in.